how we use this instrument. A little bit of music that comes from our powwow circle. Yo yo hey hey yo 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 hey hey yo hey yo hey yo hey yo How'd you like that? This outfit that I'm wearing, these feathers that I wear on my backside, determine the style of dance that I've been dancing for my whole life. There's many different dance outfits, come from different regions of North America, different tribes. Over the years, this style of dance has become very popular. The gathering is what we call a powwow today. But if you were to look through history and research the origin of where this dance comes from, it'll take you all the way back to the Great Plains, the area between the Rocky Mountains and Colorado, the Mississippi River to the east, to the north, the lower part of Canada, all the way down toward Texas, Oklahoma area, the great flat area known as the Great Plains. They estimate over 600 million buffalo used to roam that area in large herds less than 150 years ago. And those animals in the wild, they were like 7 feet at the hump of the back, 12 feet from nose to tail. Fierce creature, they weighed 2 tons, horns. And those men, the warriors, used to take down those buffaloes, the great bison, with spears, bows and arrows. And that was before the coming of the gun and gunpowder, before the coming of the horse that we know today. The horse came over during the late 1500s on Spanish ships, along with other livestock, like the different cattle that we know today, the sheep and the goat. But long ago, there was no Walmarts down the street. There were no supermarkets on the corner. The only way that you could provide, protect, feed your family was to learn to live off the land. On the Great Plains, the main source of survival was the buffalo. The hide provided their shoes, their moccasins, all their clothing, their bedding, the walls of their teepees, coats during the winter. The bones provided their tools and utensils, hammers and chisels. They made their threads and needles, all from that buffalo. Most important was the pure protein from the meat. So it made those people real lean and pretty big, tall people that evolved on the Great Plains. The warrior was the grandpa, the dad, the husband, the brother, the son, the uncle, the nephew. That literally was the man's job in life. It was a hazardous job. Those warriors would be gone away from their communities, their homes, for months at a time. But when they all came home safe, it was a real joyous occasion, and they gave thanks for their safe return through song and dance. So this evolved and originally was used as an honoring of the warriors. When that way of life began to fade with the buffalo in the mid to late 1800s, the songs were kept alive by the elders. They knew that somewhere in the future it would have a use again. So somewhere around the turn of the 20th century, the early 1900s, a new dance came out of Oklahoma. Some of those young men, they took the old Warrior Society outfits and they added the featherwork to the backside. So a new dance that came out was, the name was coined the Fancy Feather Dance. The outfits back then in the early 1900s weren't quite as colorful as what I'm wearing here today. They say about every 25, 30 years, a new generation adds new things to these dance outfits. The new item when I made this outfit back in 1973 was the technology of dyeing these chicken hackles different colors, then tying them onto our main featherwork. The younger generations today, 2 generations from when I made out, since I made my outfit, they've had plastic flagging tape, horsehair, to give it more movement on the end of the featherwork. It's evolved. When I was in my adolescent years, the main thing was simple outfit and just keeping in time with the beat of the drum. No matter what style, if it's old storytelling style or the more contemporary, it's the beat of this drum, the rhythm, that's the common thread that makes the dancers energize and make them feel. A good dancer can move with that music while keeping in time with the beat of the drum. So I'd like to share with you my version of the Fancy Feather Dance. The younger guys today, they incorporate acrobatic moves. Some of them do like the cartwheel or splits during the end of the dance. So it's still evolving. This next dance I'd like to share with you utilizes these feathers I'm holding. These are authentic wings of a golden eagle.
Wow.
You can see how large that bird is. Full-grown eagle has a wingspan of over 7 feet.
Jeez.
The female eagle, larger than the male eagle. If you were able to travel around the world and visit the 7 major continents, you would find that each of those landmasses has its own version of the eagle. Places like Asia, Africa, Germany, Switzerland, their eagles are very similar to our 2 species of eagles here in North America. The first is the American bald eagle. The second is the American golden eagle. bald eagle was chosen
And from
back in the 1700s
I should have recorded in German.
as the national bird for the United States of America. So you'll see the image and the figure of that eagle in many government agencies, the top of flagpoles. But long before this bald eagle was ever chosen as the national bird, tribal people across this land have always respectfully used these feathers in a responsible fashion. We use them as a form of communication. We use them on a spiritual level in our ceremonies, certain songs and gestures within certain ceremonies. The spiritual leaders are said to be able to reach into the unseen world, the spiritual side of life. This particular dance comes from the Pueblo tribes of the Southwest. The Rio Grande River is where most of those pueblos are dotted along there, 19 of them. One of them, the larger pueblo, is in Arizona, the Hopi. If you went to where they still live in their traditional manner, still speak their traditional language, eat their traditional foods. And according to the changing of the 4 seasons, the phases of the moon, they do their dances. Their dances are very special to them. This eagle dance is mostly seen during the spring months. There's literally hundreds of songs that could go to this dance. You have to learn from when you're a little boy. Dedicate yourself. Commit yourself to return back to the village to perform that dance every year. So this particular dance and the song that I use, the dance movements tell the story of the eagle's life. When the eagle first hatches from the egg, takes his first flight, learns to hunt to feed himself and his family. Toward the end of the dance, turning in a circle representing that eagle spirit returning home. So if you pay attention and watch the dance moves, symbolically it tells that story. So I'd like to share with you my version of the eagle dance. Long before the first explorers ever crossed the oceans, there was no written word here, no books, no papers and pens. The only way that our family trees, important events, our stories and history was passed on was through verbal tradition, storytelling, our songs and dances, our ceremonies. For many tribes, it's still passed on in that fashion. The same way that my father taught me when we were little, I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, 7 of us all together. He raised us with these dances, these stories and songs. He would tell us there's a value system within this culture. He said that value system is your health, your well-being, your family. That's what is the utmost important. He said if you have a good family, you raise them with love, then all those other things in life will come along. So my dad was a good teacher. He also told us in the outside world, the only activity that I could see that comes close to our teachings is education. So he was an advocate for higher education. He would tell us, when you put your effort into your schoolwork, at the end of your school career, he says, what do they have? He says, they have a ceremony. He said, they even wear traditional clothes, and he's talking about the cap and gown. And he says, during that ceremony, they hand you that diploma. So once you achieve that diploma, nobody can take it from you. It belongs to you. You earned it. With that diploma, you can open doors of opportunities for yourself. So that's the way he would tell us. And he would say it's the same way with our culture. Creator is the only one that gave it to us. If you care for it and treasure it, it's going to take you a long ways. If you take that education in modern life, along with the traditions and the teachings and the values, principles, he says that will right there be a balance. Take you a long ways in this life. He used to talk to us like that. So I try to be that way with my own kids. Education is a way to a good life in this society. I have 2 brothers that recently graduated from UCLA. One from attaining his bachelor's, the other went out there and received his master's degree. I got 2 daughters out in Minnesota, University of Minnesota. One of them's going after her PhD. A nephew is going to school over here at Cerritos College. A niece that's going to Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. So we're not only the carriers of the knowledge and wisdom, but we believe in higher education. So in that way, I want to thank you for your applause and your attention. I'll be available for photographs right here on the steps of the stage. So have a beautiful rest of your stay here at Knott's Berry Farm. Thank you.